So my company is Man Cans. I started it 5 years ago when I was 13, and what we do, we make man-scented candles, and they're all made inside of soup cans. Initially, when we first started it, the candles were made inside of recycled soup cans. We bought the soup, and then we donate it to soup kitchens, and then make the candle inside of it. And as we've grown, it became harder and harder to do that with our quantity. So we began buying manufactured cans and then donating money from every candle that we sold to these same soup kitchens. So it is a for-profit business, but throughout the business, we've been able to donate over 100,000 cans of soup and then also around $50,000. I got the idea. I was kind of joking with my sister. She was selling candles for a fundraiser, and they were all really girly scents, and so I kind of figured, well, why aren't there any man-scented candles? And so I kind of put it off as a joke for about a month, and I wanted money that month later to buy a bike for triathlons, and the bike that I wanted was about $1,200.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I only had a paper route where I made about $20 a month, so that wasn't really going to do it. So I asked my parents for the money to buy the bike. They told me no. And then my mom mentioned the candle idea that it had. And so I decided to take money from my paper route and put it into starting this candle company to buy a bike.
Oh, cool. Did you end up getting the bike in the long run, or?
Yep. I bought the bike a couple of months later. The business started off a lot faster than I thought it would. And I've been able to buy another bike since because I outgrew that one. So the way the business works today, our candles are all made by the Beaver Creek Candle Company, which they are a company that's based about an hour away from where we are, and they produce our candles for us. And what they do, they were previously owned by the county, by our county, and they hire people with disabilities. So we have them do our production for us because not only does it help us where we don't have to do production anymore, but it helps them because they can employ more people. So typically working with them, when we get to like full production around Christmas, when we're super busy, they employ up to 9 people at one time.
Wow.
Making candles. So feels pretty good to know we've helped not only employ 9 people, but also help employ 9 people with disabilities.
That's incredible. That's really awesome.
What really helped us out initially, it slowly picked up through word of mouth. People would buy candles, like them, and then tell people about it. And as that picked up, somebody from one of our local news stations heard about it. And so they asked me, they're like, hey, can we do an interview? And that interview ran on their news station, and then the next morning, the Associated Press picked it up, and so it ran all over the world. So really, it was an overnight explosion of the business, from something small that we're doing in our kitchen to thousands of orders. That in that 48-hour span, we had 1,400 orders within 48 hours, which up to that point, we'd probably had about 60 orders. Yeah, it definitely took off. That was how I got into a lot of my few first stores, was I'd walk in and basically pitch my company to them. And it was hit or miss, but a lot of the hits were because they were impressed with how professionally I carried myself for a 13-year-old. Really, to stay motivated with that, I guess personally, I try to look past look at what I'm getting out for the business, and really, again, that is that every candle I'm able to sell is another meal that we can donate. And when you look at it that way, things become a lot more, I guess, smaller scale, and they also become a lot more important, at least to me. It helps me visualize things better, that the impact, like what I'm doing, makes more of an impact than just making myself money. Yeah, so probably the biggest piece of advice I could give to any young person wanting to start a business, one, find your passion before you find your idea. I know a lot of people, when they're trying to start a business, they're just trying to think of ideas. What they need to be thinking of is what they're actually passionate about. Because if you have an idea but it has nothing to do with what you're passionate about, you might do it for a week or two and then get bored, and you've wasted time and money. And then the other thing, my other piece of advice is don't put off any idea that you may have as a joke. I kind of did that with my idea initially, and I was lucky enough that somebody brought it back up, and I didn't miss out on it. You have no idea how many people email me and say, hey, I thought of that before, I just didn't do anything with it. It's good to see that somebody followed through on it, because people think of it as a joke, and they're like, oh, well, that'd be a funny thing to do. But they don't realize that they could make money or help people with it.